Hello guys, welcome back to another video. As you can see from the title, today's video is going to be about the most recent Jaclyn Cosmetics launch that happened about a week or so ago when I'm filming this. In that launch, she launched bronzer and blush duos as well as highlighters and also some like highlighting powders. I purchased a couple of items from the launch and I have been using them since I got them. This definitely isn't going to be a first impression. This is more so just my thoughts after using them. I don't want to say my final thoughts, but kind of my thoughts so far. So like I mentioned, she launched a blush and bronzer duo. She also launched highlighters and highlighting setting powders type thing. So I think there was 4 different items and 3 of those were different types of highlighters. I purchased one of the bronzer and blush duos and one of the highlighters, the individuals that are in her baked formula. So we're going to be talking about those today. As you can see, I do have most of my face on. The only thing that I did not apply was bronzer, blush, and highlighter because I'm going to be trying those on with you guys today. So I have the items that I purchased right here. Like I said, I bought the bronzer and blush duo and one of the highlighters. The bronzer and blush duos came in 7 different shades, and I'll put a picture up somewhere here of the shades, and they retail for $36. This is the interior packaging, so it is really cute. You've got the black plastic packaging with the rose gold J. Opens up to, you can see your blush and bronzer there, and it does come with a mirror. Like I said, it does come in 7 shades, and I just checked her website before sitting down to film this video, and currently all shades on her website are sold out. However, these items also launched in Ulta, and there are 2 shades of the blush and bronzer duo that are still available, and I believe those are the lightest 2 shades. The shade that I purchased in the blush and bronzer duo is the Warm Flesh and Golden Goddess. So I was actually between getting the Warm Flesh Golden Goddess or the next one up, which I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I think it was called like Sun Kiss something. But when launch happened, I think that was one of the ones that sold out pretty quickly. So I just settled with the Warm Flesh. And then the highlighter that I got is the interior packaging. So we've got this really pretty rose gold packaging. We've got that J accent as well. Comes with the mirror. You've got your interior packaging. One of the things that I did notice with these packaging is you're gonna see my fingerprints all over it. Like I said, I have been using it for about a week now. So while I do like the finish of the packaging, it is just gonna be kind of depending on how you feel about it, just having the fingerprints and cleaning it off. So that might be something that you want to take into consideration. And the shade I got in the highlighter is the shade Mesmerized. And if I'm not mistaken, this is supposed to be like a peachy rose gold highlighter shade. These highlighters are retailing for $29. She has 8 different shades. I believe at least 4 of those shades were the most popular shades from her flash palette, her highlighter palettes that she released in 2019. And then if I'm not mistaken, there's like 2 or 3 newer shades. So of the highlighters, these guys on her website, there is still, I think, 4 different shades in stock. This one that I'll be using today is currently in stock, and then on Ulta's website, I believe there's also like 3 different shades still in stock. So if you're interested in getting them still, or were curious and after watching this decide you want to check them out, luckily they're still in stock. So starting off with the blush and bronzer duo. Before we get into this, one of the things that I do want to mention, as I said, I have been using it for about a week now, is the type of brush that you use with this is going to make a difference, specifically speaking to the bronzer. So this is a baked formula for all the products, so the blush, bronzer, and highlight. And I'm going to insert some swatches for you guys that I took in daylight outside in the sunshine so you can see kind of what they look like. There has been a bunch of chatter out there on YouTube and, you know, the socials about the pigmentation of these blushes, saying that it's too light, it's not very pigmented, etc., etc. And in my opinion, I would agree in saying that these blush and bronzers are not super pigmented. However, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It just depends on your preference. I do think it can be a little hard to pick your shade when you're looking at swatches that the Jaclyn Cosmetics team had posted, and also she had posted on her Instagram and on her socials, because they looked a lot darker in the photos than I think looks in real life, which is one of the reasons why I decided getting this shade, the Warm Flesh and Golden Goddess, would work well for me. Jumping ahead, just to let you guys know, I do wish I got the next shade up. I do feel like this, especially the bronzer in this guy, is not as pigmented or not dark enough as I would like for my bronzers. Going back to what I mentioned about the brushes. So when I do my bronzers, I typically use a fluffy, kind of a fluffy brush. So this is my bronzer brush that I usually use. This is an old brush that I got from TJ Maxx or Marshalls. I don't even know the brand. And you can see it is pretty fluffy. It's not dense at all. So this is what I typically use to just kind of get in there. And with using this brush in the bronzer, I did notice it had quite a bit of kick up and I didn't feel like it was giving me as much pigment as I wanted on the first or the second go. So I decided to switch to a different type of brush, and this is the Cosmetics complexion brush. You can see it is still fluffy. It's a bit more dense and more tightly packed compared to this other brush. With this brush right here, I still notice kick up, but less kick up, and I feel like I was able to get more pigment with a brush like this. So depending on what type of brush you use for your bronzer, you might want to take that into consideration when using this product. So let's go ahead and jump in. Like I said, I do have my makeup on. I do a little bit of cream contour, but that's something that I always do. I use the Huda Beauty Tantour. And I don't go too heavy with it, so you might be able to see a bit of a shadow, and I'm gonna dip in. And I don't know if you guys can see, but there is a little bit of kick up there. Keep in mind, this is a baked formula, and we've got some right there on the brush. And I have my mirror here to the side. So again, I'm just gonna tap my brush just a little bit. And I like to use these kind of angle brushes. I put the thicker side to the top, and I'm just gonna start placing it where I would usually put my bronzer. And you can see it is giving me pigment. So like I said, it's not that it's not pigmented. It just, in my opinion, depends on your preference with them. I do think that this shade is a little too orange for my preference. And I think going one shade deeper would have been better, especially for my skin tone and my preferences, but I'm not at all mad at it. One of the things that I do love about this is just how easy it blends. No patchiness, no skipping. I've tried it with 2 or 3 different foundations in the past week, and I've layered it on top of my Huda Beauty cream contour and also on top of my Milk Makeup cream stick, bronzer stick. I forget what it's called. So I should have mentioned, I have powdered my face. So I did do an overall translucent setting powder before going in with these. So that is the bronzer right there. And for reference, I am more of a light to medium skin tone. In the summer, I tend to lean more medium, and my undertones are yellow, leaning kind of olive, if you wanted reference in terms of whether or not this shade would work for you. One of the other things that I did enjoy about this is you can layer it, and you can layer it without worrying about it looking too powdery or cakey. I would assume that's because of the baked formula that helps it not look so powdery on the skin. The first time I tried it, I did notice, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not as pigmented as I am used to with bronzers on the first go. And so layering it 2, 3, 4 times, I didn't find it to start looking weird or looking heavy or anything like that. However, having to layer it 3 to 4 times for you to get the pigment that you're looking for is something to take into account, because that means you're gonna run through the product a lot quicker than you would another bronzer. Okay, so I'm happy with that so far. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try the highlighter before I go into the blush. Again, the highlighter that I purchased is the shade Mesmerized, and this is more a peachy rose gold shade. And I have 2 different types of brushes that I usually use with my highlighter. I use a more fluffy brush like this. This is a BH Cosmetics 140 highlighter brush. I believe this only came in a set. And then the other brush that I use is this Real Techniques brush, which is actually a setting brush, but I like to use it for my highlight. Another thing that you'll know if you've been watching my videos for a little bit is I do like to take my damp beauty sponge and just kind of tap it over where I would place my highlight. I feel like that helps my highlight stick better and give it a more glowy and glow from within look. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with one side with this Real Techniques brush and go with the BH Cosmetics brush on the other side, so you can get a feel for what the application would look like depending on what type of highlighting brush you prefer. So we're going in, and I'm just gonna swipe, tap, and Go right on the high points here. And you can see, well, I hope you can see on camera, that is a really pretty highlight. It could definitely be built up to be a blinding highlight. I'm sure if I like sprayed setting spray on my face and then went in, it would, but I'm not going for that super blinding highlight right now. And I really like the tone of this bronzer in particular. I feel like with my skin tone, it works well. So you don't really see like that gray cast if I'm looking straight on, and right when I shift, you just get that really nice glow. We're gonna go with the BH Cosmetics brush on the other side again, just tapping off. Okay, so with this more fluffy brush, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's definitely not as in your face. I feel like with this fluffy brush, it is more diffuse and not as concentrated. So take that into consideration. With any highlight, just the brush that you're using really plays a part and can make a difference. This is also a really nice amount of highlight, just a little bit more, shall I say, natural compared to this side. For today's look though, I do kind of want it to be a bit brighter, a bit more glowy. So I am going to go back in with my Real Techniques and just add a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add some to the bridge of the nose. All right, so we've got our highlight done. So again, really pretty highlight in my opinion. This is the shade Mesmerized, which is more of a peachy rose gold shade. I am interested in trying out one of the other shades. I believe it's called Spark, something like that, and that's a more champagne gold shade, so that might be something that I pick up in the future. I definitely don't think you need multiples of these. I think with one you'll be good. It is a baked formula, so it's gonna last you for a while, and I don't find that it's necessarily something that's like knocking my socks off or like, oh my god, out of this world, something I've never experienced. I feel like my Elcie highlighter or my Ofra highlighters are pretty comparable. It might just be a difference in the type of shades that she has, so keep that in mind before you decide to purchase. And last but not least, we're gonna be going in with the blush, and again, the blush is the shade Warm Flushed. It's more of a peachy color than it is pink, which is another reason why I decided to go with this duo. I felt like the other blushes leaned more pink, and this is the one that I felt leaned a bit more coral. I'm gonna insert the picture that I took in natural sunlight for you guys again somewhere here so you can see that it's not too pink. It has a bit more warmth to coral in it, in my opinion. I'm taking my regular blush brush. This is a Morphe E53, and I'm gonna dab in, and there is a little bit of kick up, so be careful with that. Tap off, and I'm just gonna go a bit higher than the apples of my cheeks, and I didn't dip in too much, so you guys can see that first light layer. So we're getting a little wash of color. We're not getting something super pigmented, so take your time. So it is a formula that you can build up, and if you find yourself going overboard with blushes sometimes, which if you've seen some of my videos, you'll know I have been known to do that. But this is after 2 dips with that shade, and I'm not dipping in very hard, but you can see we are getting this really pretty corally blush shade that is meshing well with the other products. So meshed well on top of the highlight, meshed well with the bronzer, and it's not looking muddy, it's not looking patchy, it's not clinging. They're all merging beautifully, and that is something that I really enjoy of this line, the fact that they're working great together and working with the products that I have under. For setting powder, I did use the LYS translucent setting powder, and foundation, I am wearing the Il Makiage foundation. I'll leave all that information in the description below. The shade is a bit lighter. One of the things that I also have been doing this week is actually mixing the blush and the bronzer. So I'll dip into both and just kind of use that as a blush, and I find that that helps warm up the blush for me and not have it be as bright if I'm not going for a bright color. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go back to the bronzer brush that we used, and I'm gonna dip in just a smidge into the bronzer and just kind of run it over. So I just kind of dabbed a little bit over. I'm a big fan of blush, so you definitely don't have to do this much blush if you don't want to, but I did want to showcase the shades for you guys and see, so you can see how they all blend together as well. So we're going to do the same on the other side, and on the other side I'm actually going to mix both of them. We have it. We've got the highlighter on, the blush and bronzer, and you can see I don't even feel like I need to do a setting spray afterwards because the formula is baked and so smooth, and I feel like it has just a smidge of like a satin-ish finish. I don't feel like I need to do any setting spray to kind of tone down that powdery look. I don't feel like it looks powdery at all, and I am quite happy with these products. Are they my favorite out of all the blush, bronzer, highlights in my collection right now? To be honest with you, no. But they are definitely items that I would reach for. I would say if you are interested in checking out specifically the blush bronzer duo, I would recommend maybe going a shade darker than what you think you might need, or just look at some more pictures or YouTube videos on people that have a similar skin tone as you do so you can see what it looks like. I don't feel like I need to run out and purchase the next shade up right now. Like I said, they are out of stock, so not like I could if I wanted to, but I'm not anxiously waiting for the restock. I don't think I'll be purchasing the next one up, maybe until I run out of this one for now. But that would be my only con. The swatches and the pigmentation can be a little bit deceiving, just depending on how dark or light you prefer your blush or bronzer. I feel like I've said that a million times. All right, guys, so we've made it to the end of the video. Thank you for tuning in for another one. Let me know in the comments below if you picked up anything from Jaclyn's launch. She recently announced that she's coming out with liquid lipsticks and lip liners as well. So that'll be interesting. I believe they're launching sometime soon in the next week or so. Also, let me know what you think about that. Are you planning on picking anything up? If you're interested in the eye look that I am wearing today, this was actually inspired by Rose and Ben on Instagram. She posted a tutorial on her Instagram stories last night coming up with a look like this using one of the Elf Cosmetics bite-size eyeshadow palettes. I didn't have that one, so I pulled out my Elf Cosmetics Retro Paradise palette, which I am still really loving, by the way. This one I think was a highlight of summer 2020 for Elf. So that's what I used to create this eye look. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Join our family. We are almost at 100 subscribers. I'm so excited, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.